Hello, everyone. My name's Anthony Chiminello. I'm a mindset coach and cross-cultural negotiator. Previously spent more than 25 years, 30 years in property in a corporate environment. Looking forward to having a chat to Prosper on the Prosperity Show, and it's always an honour to be able to exchange ideas for the benefit and positive impact of others. So, it's an honour to be here.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. And I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga. And today, I've got an absolute gem of a guest for you. Let's roll out the red carpet for Anthony Chiminello. Now, Anthony, how are you doing today?
Very well, thanks, Prosper. Good to be with you.
Well, the pleasure is all mine. I spent all weekend practicing how to say Chiminello.
Well, absolutely perfect.
Great stuff. Now, for those that are meeting Anthony for the very first time, you can tell by his humility that he's a man with over 25 years of business experience, spanning from property, cross-cultural projects, and mindset coaching between Australia and Asia. And Anthony is not your run-of-the-mill professional. He's a guy who's actually traded in the corporate high-flying life to something way more meaningful, which is the pursuit of personal growth and helping others achieve their own success through authenticity, clarity, and simplicity. And he is the founder of Bridgeworld International, and a man whose journey proves that you can find the gift in every storm. So we're going to be diving into his impressive journey and, talking about his mindset coaching, cross-cultural negotiation expertise, and so much more. And I don't know if you're watching this right now, Anthony has published 2 poetry books that actually promote cultural harmony. And it's not every day that you meet a business expert who's also a poet. So I'm guessing by the end of this episode, you'll not only be inspired, but also understand why working with Anthony could be the game changer your business and professional journey has been yearning for. Now, Anthony, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not an expert in. Let's first of all start with your fascinating background. I mean, you went from being a high-flying corporate, professional to now focusing on mindset coaching. What actually inspired that change?
Well, I think it started in my early 20s when, in fact, I got back from overseas. I did a short stint in Singapore on some property training, and because I'd actually qualified as a property valuer, so I went did a bit of travelling, but I managed to get some work experience in Singapore. And when I arrived back in Australia, I was fortunate enough to get a job with a fairly large international company, and they are a public company now. So in those early years, if you were me, you would have been like most young people. You had full of energy, full of vibrance, and you just wanted to be successful. And so I started really looking at some of the most successful operators in the property industry that I was in, because I didn't really know how to elevate myself up the corporate ladder. I came to the conclusion, did they have any more experience? Yes, a little bit more. Did they have any more research capabilities? No, because I had access to that. What about skills? Not really. I found that I had a lot of their particular skills that they were demonstrating. So I came to the conclusion that success, even in those early days, is 80% mindset and 20% skills, because they demonstrated an amazing self-belief. They had an amazing focus, and they were very resilient in the face of roadblocks. And that was a common sort of skill set, which were all about the mind, that I really understood. So during that particular few years of my early corporate life, I came across an advertisement which was how to learn to meditate. And of course, I decided to register, and I distinctly remember it was at the Melbourne University. And it was a young lady, and she was just taking us through the steps of meditation. And she was so calm, so stable, so serene. And as soon as I saw this woman, I thought, that's what I want to be like, because in those earlier years, I was constantly searching. I didn't know what success was. So that was the first step in me starting to self-analyse, starting to, I suppose, create more introspection rather than being externally focused. And from those early years of meditation, I decided on what success was for me. And I really wanted to, buy 2 properties, and I wanted to be a director of the company, and I wanted to get an overseas posting, which is typical when you're in your younger years. You relate success to power, status, and also wealth. So I adopted 3 mindset skills to actually help me get there, and they were the ones that I thought were the most important and critical to get me to where I wanted as quickly as possible. So a few years after that, I was cleaning out my bedroom, and in one of the bottom drawers, I pulled out an envelope, and in that envelope, there was a little title on it, said Anthony's Goals, and I opened it, and it confirmed at the age of 29 what I'd actually read in that piece of paper that I'd written down was everything I'd achieved at the age of 29, which was a couple of properties. I was a director. I'd had an overseas posting, but it didn't mean that much to me. It was a great testament to the fact that mindset really does drive success. And so, it was a great, I suppose, boon to me that mindset really drives everything. So that was really part of the corporate life that, in fact, encapsulated those earlier years and that success. But I was always driven, and I was driven because I later found out after my mental breakdown that I was driven because I wanted to get validation from others. I was driven because I wanted to be approved by others. I was driven because I wanted to be accepted by others. I was driven because it was living up to others' expectations and societal pressures. And that type of motivation, whilst it gave me success in those very early years, was very unhealthy. I was not a balanced, successful human being, if that makes sense.
And thank you so much for taking us through that journey, because it just gives us a glimpse into, your life and everything else, that unfolded to you becoming who you are right now. Now, just a quick question. I mean, obviously you are mentioning that you actually had to come across all of these things by looking at those that had walked the path before you, you know what I mean? And showcasing that what you were seeing was not common, in and around the people that you were with. Is that the case right there, that not a lot of people were maybe, writing their goals down and actually working in the way that most of these successful real estate people showcase to you, that you started noticing? Because fish don't see the water that they swim in.
Yeah, that's true. I really took a holistic view of some of the successful people around me. And as I mentioned, skills were probably 20%. The rest, 80%, was mindset. But the 3 mindset tools that I adopted were simply focus. I came crystal clear on what I wanted, what that looked like, what that felt like, and I actually wrote them down. And I was actually living them in the present tense, like I'd already achieved them. And the second part, or second mindset tool, was motivation. And that was the energy that we've got that needs to be focused on the particular tasks to get us to our particular goals. And the third mindset tool was discipline, just making sure that I knew exactly every day what I had to do, and that was closely followed by persistence. So focus, when you're actually focusing on something that's aligned with your values, naturally gives you motivation, energy. And when you have the energy, you naturally have discipline. So everything starts with knowing what you want, but being very crystal clear and also living it in the present tense, visualizing it, writing it down. What are you doing in your mind's eye when you actually are achieving that particular goal here and now?
I quite like that. Now, obviously, Anthony, you are stressing a lot around the external sort of focus that so many people have, which are the trappings of society and, the usual things that you will know once you have them or achieve them, then that's, some sort of success medal that you would have achieved for yourself. Now, was this external influence from immediate family, or was that just society in and of itself that just had an this sort of success metric or level that you sort of then started aspiring to?
Prosper, I think 80% of the people that I come across are listening to the external voices instead of listening to their own inner voice. So when the external voices are louder than the inner voice, you're going to be following others' expectations. You're going to be following societal pressures, what it means to be successful in the herd mentality type of view, which is, having the perfect partner, looking, like a model, or actually having, a house, a couple of investment properties, and having the status and influence. But those things, once I'd achieved some of those materialistic things, I realised that I was still yearning. I was yearning for some particular meaning, purpose, balance in my life, which I couldn't get. And that's when I started to internalise more and more. And the demons that I'd actually buried deep inside me actually then started to surface. And that was the start of my mental downturn.
Absolutely. Now, also, just looking at your timeline, even up until now, things like meditation and, just really introspection are still considered woo-woo. What was the general consensus and feel about you showing up at that meditation camp and, when you saw that advert?
Yeah, in those earlier years, people weren't really attuned to the benefits of meditation and how it can assist you in your life, health, wealth, and also relationships. So yeah, people were very sceptical. I mean, when I did leave the corporate life, everyone thought I was joining the Hare Krishnas. They really didn't. So that was a rumour, and it was a bit of a joke, but it actually got out there, and people actually thought that was the case. But look, when you look at everything in your life, everything started with a thought. Where does a thought start? In your mind. So if your mind's got roadblocks, you're stressed, you're depressed, you've got conflicting thoughts, you've got trapped emotions, man, you can be the most talented, most intellectual, intelligent person, but you will not achieve your best.
I can only imagine that takes you away from everybody around you. And as we are, sort of societal beings, if you get alienated from the people that you are supposed to be connected to, that then not come with its own share of problems, maybe forcing you to want to go back and just be like everybody else?
Yeah, there was a bit of pressure there, but I was really finding myself, and I was prepared to sacrifice some of those, I suppose, associate type of connections for the freedom of finding who I was, what I wanted, and how to get there. So that was, of course, a lot of people, when they actually value that external connections and what have you more than what their heart or their soul or whatever you want to call it is telling them, then they'll continue to fall into the trap of being influenced by those external voices. Yeah, for sure.
I can only imagine. Now, you've gone on and obviously started using your expertise in property and also cross-cultural projects, and that's quite impressive, because then that means, you can see what others cannot see, predicated on the experience that you sort of now have. How are you blending these skills with mindset coaching in your current work at Bridgeworld International?
Well, I don't know whether you realise that after my corporate life, I had a significant downturn, a mental downturn. And that took me probably down a very, very dark place for a period of 12 months. And that particular reason why I realised why it was because I was unbalanced. I was chasing external validation instead of me, who Anthony was, what does he stand for, what are his values. So for a period of 12 months, I was actually in a very, very bad state. I had dizziness, insomnia, I had excruciating pains in the stomach. I was almost on the brink of wanting to check out of life. And so I completely shut myself off the external world, and my family was very worried about me, so I was cared by a couple of psychiatrists who were prescribing me a lot of drugs. And it was in the depths of hell that I finally came to the realisation that everything I was doing in life was trying to get approval from others. And that's the sign that came through, and that's why I felt so unsatisfied in everything that I was trying to do. And in that very dark place, I came to the realisation that I had to let go. And let go was closely associated with a word called surrender at the time. I had to surrender to what my inner intelligence was telling me. And that's when my whole journey changed, in that I started to write poetry. I started to actually know what Anthony wanted, what his values were, and not worried about external validation, opinions, and what people expected of me. And that's when I started to go down the path of, writing poetry helped me get out of that condition. And it was an absolute miracle that I found that I was. And those poems actually then translated later, when I was well enough and stable enough, into a particular cross-cultural publication called Where East Meets West, because my poems were translated into Mandarin. There were 52 poems that I included in a publication called Calendar for Life, and I also matched my poems with illustrations from school children around Asia, so it became a cross-cultural project which was called A Calendar for Life, a selection of poems to refresh the busy mind. And the purpose of that was that if you're an executive or a busy person, you go to the poem of the week, read the words, have time to reflect, write your thoughts underneath. And that book was launched in Singapore, Shanghai, Melbourne. And it didn't make me any money, but it was a fantastic project that connected illustrations, wisdom and poetry with children, governments, and also business people between Australia and Asia. So, that's how that really started.
What have you found to be the biggest barriers for people that are trying to achieve balance and success in their lives?
I find that a lot of executives are very much externally focused, and that's understood because you're influenced by others' opinions and what society tells you on how you should be, what you could be. And very few people, I find, spend enough time self-reflecting with self-awareness. And, if you don't do that, then you might find that you do feel unsatisfied. You do feel that there's a missing link. You do feel that there's an emptiness within you. And I can only encourage people to reflect on what their values are. What do they stand for? What is their authenticity? And live a life congruent with those values and setting goals aligned with those values. And that's the only time you're going to be in greater balance. You're going to find greater meaning in life. And you're going to find that you are far more happier and your relationships will definitely improve.
You see, Anthony, your story of overcoming mental anguish and these panic attacks is very inspiring. First of all, I mean, so many people try and hide that and always want to just showcase their best side. But what sort of invisible lessons from this sort of dark period do you usually share with your clients to help them through their own challenges? Because sometimes people might think you just don't get what they're going through.
Well, I think the key is mental illness is such a complex and deep issue, and everyone basically suffers their own demons. But I found that there are probably three main types of demons that haunt people. And the first one is conflicting thoughts. They don't know what they want. And if you don't know what you want, you're continually following others' opinions and ideas. And that can actually dissatisfy you because if you don't have your own values, you're following everyone else's values. The second one is, I think, trapped emotions. As children, we're exposed to so many different negative influences, whether it's abandonment, whether it's neglect, whether it's bullying, and very often we hide that, we shove it down, which was in my case. We try to bury it. And there's two ways people handle that. They go on to substance abuse, or they try to prove themselves that they are worthy through working longer, harder and faster, like I did, to try to prove to people that they are worthy, that they are good people. And that's totally out of balance. And the third area of major conflict is limiting beliefs, the constant narratives they keep telling themselves they're not good enough, they're not worthy enough, they're not talented enough. So those three things are the main things that people suffer. And once you understand that, you can help them overcome them and give them greater balance in their lives. So essentially it's self-awareness, it's feeling where the pain is, it's acknowledging it, it's understanding the lesson that it's teaching you, and then it's taking the actions to overcome it, not fight it, not battle it, but to integrate it and use it as a stepping stone, not as a roadblock.
Because so many people, when they then come across that roadblock, they don't know it's probably just a little bit of a speed hump that they just need to go over and things like that. But you've obviously integrated all of this, and now you're working with different sort of types of clients. First of all, who would you say is an ideal person that you want to work with?
Well, I've been working with university students who are working on major real-life projects, trying to guide, inspire and support them. I've had younger generation, and I've also had psychiatrists. So we all have different viewpoints, and therefore we all have something to share. Just because someone is proficient in a particular, psychiatric type of talent doesn't mean that they can see themselves objectively. So it's really whoever presents, but I'm pretty open, and if I find that I can assist after a brief chat, then we'll proceed on a journey of 3 or 4 lessons, whatever I feel that they need to self-develop and empower themselves. So I don't really narrow it to anyone in particular, because humans are humans, and they all suffer virtually the same types of demons. under those three categories that I mentioned.
Now, obviously, you're working with people and literally just giving them back to themselves, because whoever they are supposed to meet is internal, but they have to, remove all these whatever, demons that you keep referring back to. I think who was that mentioned that the sculpture was already in the marble. All we just had to do was extrapolate and remove the excess marble. That's not the sculpture. And I think this is exactly what it is that you are doing for people. What's been the most rewarding part of your career so far, and how is that sort of really shaped your, or influenced your coaching and the way you deal with people?
Well, I think the most rewarding thing is when people actually can transform their lives by having the courage to change themselves and knowing that everyone has got amazing potential. But as you said, over the years, we have filters, we have baggage that we carry from parents, from teachers, from friends, from society. And when you get them to understand that they are a unique being in themselves and everyone has a unique offering to give to the world, all of a sudden you see that spark light up. It's only when you're trying to be like someone else that you're actually killing the talent in yourself, because you're looking externally. So when they actually find their values, their uniqueness, and know that everyone has a part to play in the world, like a jigsaw puzzle. And when that jigsaw puzzle's together, it makes up the whole project. And, be a first-rate version of yourself. Don't be a second-rate version by copying someone else. I mean, everyone else is taken. So be with yourself, but find out what you stand for, what your values are, how to align those values to your goals, and then follow a pathway, a roadmap that actually then allows you to be the best version of yourself. So seeing people change by reflecting on what they already have, by simply removing the baggage, is amazing. It's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. It's like that sculpture that Michelangelo did, you were talking about. It's not acquiring, it's letting go. That's the key. It's the opposite. Of course, acquiring knowledge to give you the understanding on how to let go, that's fine. But when you're trying to pile new programs on an old, stale, obsolete program, I'm sorry, you'll always be a second-rate version of who you can be.
Absolutely. And, talking about the rising phoenix and flying and things of that nature, have you ever noticed that if you travel with, airlines that are like Jetstar or Tiger or things like that, the heavier you carry, the more you have to pay for the ticket, so it actually is cheaper to travel light, in that sort of particular instance. And while you're on the plane, the hostess will always tell you to put your mask on first so that you can be helpful for those people that are in and around you. So for those that are looking to travel light and put their mask on first, what would be the best way to maybe get in touch with you, Anthony?
Look, I'm pretty simple. There's my email address, which is I'm not sure whether you're going to include it on your particular recording, or else I'm on Facebook. My Facebook is simply not about what dinner I had the previous night before or what my cat looks like. It's 2-minute videos to help you self-improve. Facebook, which is under my name, or LinkedIn, or my website, which is, bwi.com.au. So people find me if they need to find me. And, there's a lot of information out there on LinkedIn, on my videos and Facebook. So if people are inspired, then, they're welcome to reach out and see where we can work together if we need to, or simply have a brief chat.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below so that people can actually, yes, get started on that journey. And you're absolutely right. I think it was through one of your videos on LinkedIn that you caught my attention, and I watched the video and I responded and I was like, wait a minute, why don't we have you on the call so that we can really expand on this? And I feel, if somebody's watching this right now and if they then meeting you for the very first time and they now have that daily dose of those videos, you can actually help them be, do, and have a happier existence. And I feel like you just changed the modality of what you're doing. You've just put the poetry now in video format, and because the videos are just like little doses of inspiration that can help somebody throughout their day. And would you say that's now the outlet for you there?
Yeah, I think, well, that's inspiring to hear, Prosper, because the videos, I've had feedback from people saying, you know what, that's just giving me an idea to change this or that or whatever. And that's all they are. I'm not trying to gather influence or support. It's really just sending out a message which comes intuitively to me. And if whoever grabs it gets some use out of it, fantastic. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about energy. And the energy is translated into words, and people will interpret those words whichever way they wish. And if they can change the direction for the better, then fantastic.
Absolutely. And in your videos, you talk about authenticity, clarity, and simplicity. Now, how do these values actually guide your coaching and negotiation strategies?
Well, I think authenticity just simply means that you have to be true to yourself, your words and your actions. And if I'm trying to put on a facade, then I won't come across as genuine to people. And people feel that. We're energetic beings. I mean, we only have to meet someone for 10 seconds and we know whether we connect with them or we don't connect with them. So authenticity is simply being yourself without barriers. Simplicity means that too many people are complicating life. And what happens is they think the answers are complicated and they're constantly searching. No, life's simply about learning, sharing and enjoying. It's very simple. And how you do that, you simply create a roadmap to bring those values whichever way possible. And clarity is to clear all the static noise out there and really find out what it is that you're really seeking. What is your heart saying? What is that inner voice whispering to you that you're not listening to? Because once someone can help you find that, whatever it is, then it's like someone's changed the movie screen. It's amazing. Because you are following the energy that you are meant to be aligned to. You're not following someone else's pathway. You're not influenced by others. You have the power and you are empowered to follow your own path, run your own race.
I quite like that. Now, Anthony, I mean, when we started this show, you introduced us to this 29-year-old director who opened a drawer in his room and found an envelope that had all the goals that they have achieved written in that envelope, and things like that. Now, if you would maybe, because you say now you work with people of all walks of life and things of that nature, if you would come across somebody who had seemingly achieved all the goals that they want right now and obviously gotten, succeeded, to whatever society sort of expects from them, but they still feel depleted inside, what sort of advice would you give to them, knowing what you know about life and who you've become now?
Well, first of all, I would say that why did you want to achieve those things? What did it give you? And then from that answer, I would understand. For instance, someone would say, oh, I want to be popular. Okay, why do you want to be popular? Oh, so that people like me. Why do you want people to like me? Well, I was never loved as a child. Okay, so you start to dig a bit deeper down the rabbit hole and you find exactly, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those materialistic wealths. By all means, go and achieve them. But if they are actually becoming your crutch and your meaning of happiness and I suppose balance in life, you will never ever find it, because those external things are always changing. So they can be taken away from you. So it's essentially finding out what were they seeking by achieving those things. And they might say, look, I wanted to be more content. I wanted to be more liked. I feel a lack of, empowerment. So then you start to really get down to what values are important to them. And once you do find that, then you find out their unique values that make up their signature vibration and what they stand for. And whether they have those things or not, they're still content, they're still balanced, and they still have meaning in your life. But I know, for instance, that when you find the values that are true to you, and you are balanced, and you are naturally happy, and you naturally find meaning in life, it's amazing how those external wealth, health, and happiness come in so easily, but they don't mean the same as they did anymore. It's because you've let go. And when you're happier and content with yourself, you think clearly, you're more focused, you're not gravitating to trying to take, you're more giving. And then all of that stuff just comes naturally. It's almost like a universal law. And I can't explain it, but the more you want something, the more you push it away. If you have contentment and happiness and love within yourself, that's the vibration which attracts all those things back to you. You're a far better executive by starting with that than trying to get it through materialistic objects. If that makes sense. I don't know whether it does.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It is something that, you obviously have to feel your way through to understand what you just mentioned there. So many people just want what's physically possible for them, and that's the reason why they keep chasing their own tail. But now that you've got a different look on life and a new lease on life, what's next? What can people anticipate from Anthony?
Well, I just feel that I'm doing more of what I do, mindset. I see myself working more maybe with conflict resolution, maybe moving into, more negotiation and creating harmony between whether it's groups or communities or even cultures, and however that unfolds, I really don't know at this point in time, but I'm pretty open. I don't have such a fixed goal in my mind anymore. I just seem to sort of work with the wisdom I have and feel the direction that seems to be right. I do have plans, but they're very loose. Just continuing on, mindset, cross-cultural negotiations, and just really following that particular path, and however that unfolds, well, we're all work in progress. We never really reach a destination.
I like that, because so many people, aim so low and then they hit, and then they spend the rest of their life thinking they've actually arrived. And that's the reason why so many have so many regrets, because as you would have at age 29, those 2 properties, that accomplishment in the job position and things of that nature, that would have just been the end. But look at what you have planted and now sowing and distributing to the rest of the world, so they can also do and have a happier existence. So thank you so much for taking that journey for us.
No, just as you were talking, I remembered somebody saying that don't die with the wisdom inside you. And I think the platform you're providing is great to unlock so much wisdom out there for people to take benefit. So congratulations on your program.
I absolutely appreciate that. Well, it takes 2 to tango, and I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have the experts like yourself gracing us with your presence. So, folks, there you have it. What a deep dive into the world of mindset, cross-cultural negotiations, and actually finding balance in both life and in business with Anthony Chiminello there. So many people are struggling, yet they have everything in front of them and don't realize why things don't seem to be working out for them. So if you found this conversation as insightful as I actually did, be sure to maybe rewatch this episode for more of the golden nuggets that you might have missed on. Or why don't you share this with somebody who is a high achiever who's really trying to get all the trappings of life, but losing themselves in the process. They might actually need to hear this from somebody who has actually been there and done that. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show so you do not miss out on any of this valuable information like this. So let's just continue this conversation. Connect with Anthony on LinkedIn or check out Bridgeworld International if you're ready to transform your mindset and your business. In the meantime, bye for now.